Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome to the Kwentossential podcast, where we talk about stories that shape us. And as always, I am one of the hosts, Jonathan, also known as JP. Both are my names, so it doesn't matter. Whatever I get called, yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm super excited because we got our very first guest of the show. Sorry, we don't have the funds for sound effects, but we got our first guest, and it's one of our good friends, Gill. She is a musician, songwriter, composer, recording artist, and she also works within the music industry. Plus, she also does a lot of marketing and all that stuff. So it's super cool just to talk to her and catch up and whatnot. In this episode, we talk about basically our love for music, how we met, the different life experiences that happened in between of where she was before and where she is now, and as well as we talk about mental health. Side note, on the other hand, though, actually two things. First one is that just warning, there's going to be a few swear words, and so if you are very you don't really like to hear that, then I'm sorry in advance, but you have been warned. And second, I'm also sorry the fact that we're repeating a story. I believe that we repeated it twice already in the previous two episodes, and then again today. But the reason why is because the secret project that it's not really secret, it never happened, between me and Don that we always talk about, that I have. It's super cool because Gill was actually part of that. So now we get to hear it for the third time, this time with all three of the people that were involved in this project. And so if we repeat ourselves in telling stories, then I'm sorry. But at the same time, I'm not, because it is what it is. That's how we are. That's just the real, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, I'm rambling a lot. I'm going to let you guys enjoy the podcast. So sit back, relax, and welcome to the Kwentossential podcast. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Kwentossentials podcast, where we talk about stories that shape us. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan.
And I am your co-host, Dom, aka Malicious.
No.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Kwentossential podcast. And here we actually have a very, very, very special guest. She's a star. She's a diva, a little bit. She is an amazing, amazing person. A very, very talented friend of ours. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Gill.
Hey!
Oh,
yeah. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming through.
Thank you for being so gracious of your time to lend to us. Yeah, I'm late. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Okay. So for everyone listening, this guy took like an hour, like just to get ready, get his coffee done, get his hair done, and all that stuff. So that's why he's late. But it's all good. But anyways, how you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good. I'm really happy that it finally feels like summer. It's warmer outside.
Hell yeah.
It makes me less sad because that winter was rough with the curfew and everything. It was rough.
I mean, like, you guys had curfew. I was chilling out here in Alberta. But yeah, that's dope. So for everyone who is tuning in, why don't you share a little bit about who you are, Jill, and what you do right now and stuff like that?
Right. So my name is Jillian. My full name is Jillian. I go by Gill and a bunch of other nicknames. I work currently in marketing for a music company called Lander. So they do mastering, distribution, samples, a bunch of things. And I also do my own music part-time on my own. So I write my own songs, I produce them, I compose, I sing them, I record them. I'm a one-man, one-woman show. So it's a lot. But my life for the past few years have been very submerged into music, both professionally and personally. So, yeah, that's who I am in a nutshell.
Wow. For everybody that is tuning in right now, Jill has been a friend of ours for quite some time now.
Yes.
And through ups and downs and this and that, but we actually first got acquainted through music. With music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually with the bro, with JP, who one day he goes, "Yo, you wanna come listen and hang out?
No,
It's
no,
a
no, no, no.
Glee club." Was
That's
it
not how
like
it happened.
that?
No, so I was in school, and you were like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm chilling at school, but I got something happening later on." And he's like, "What is it?" And I was like, "It's a Glee club." He's like, "Yo, let
Right.
me come through." And I was like, "Sure,
Oh, it was like that.
whatever." Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, "Yo, whatever." Like, this is my first time, joining this crew, so I was like, "Yo, I don't want to go in not knowing anyone." So let me bring someone too with me. So, and that's how it is. And then so basically I met Jill first, and then I fell off. My bad. I disappeared for a bit, and then Dom you guys became closer than how me and you started. So yeah,
It's
that's
all
the real
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
really fun story. I mean, back then, I don't really remember how Glee Club started in college. I think it's one of my friends or acquaintances at the time.
Yeah.
And we held auditions. We call them auditions, but I really wanted to get a sense of like who could sing and if they can sing or perform in what register. So we
Right.
held like these auditions in this like practice room, a music practice room. And I remember, John, you rapped, right? You did a
Yeah.
little rap thing, and I thought it was so impressive. I
Thank
didn't
you.
know what to
Boy.
expect, y'all. So
Thank you.
yeah,
No,
it's cool.
I remember that day was just so like I was already skipping classes and stuff, so I was like, I'm bored. So let me sign up for this Glee thing. Just because like at that time I was kind of like closeted musical person. Like I enjoyed musicals, but I didn't tell anyone. And so I was like, yo, let me just step out and kind of like pull a Troy Bolton from what you call that High School Musical and show
Yeah.
my stuff. And bro, I was hella nervous. I remember walking into that room and I was just like, you and that other person you're saying, like,
Mhm.
I was just standing there. I was like, hey, and I was trying to keep my cool, but it was kind of tough because I was like, I
You
don't know
did
what I'm
well.
doing.
Yeah, you
Thank
did
you. I
well.
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Man, I remember that day too, and I remember you guys didn't really perform. I remember my memory is really really bad, but I know that you did not perform. You both did perform, but the first time hearing, because I knew we me and JP, we kind of make music
Kind
on
of
the
did make
side
music.
just
Past
for
tense,
fun,
past
right?
tense. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then when I heard Jill sing, I was like, oh my goodness gracious, she is amazing, and she,
Yeah.
she
Thank you.
has a very very how do I say this, kind of like an angelic voice, very soft and I mean, she's been making music for quite some time now, prior to Glee, right? Am I right, Jill?
Yeah.
And yeah, talk about that, how you started, because we already knew that you're a talented individual, but how did this come into fruition?
Yeah. So when I was a child, I was really fascinated with piano. I had a cousin that started piano, and I asked my mom. Contrary to popular belief, my mom did not force piano upon me. It's a secret.
Yay.
But I asked to take piano lessons, and so I started around 6 years old. And then I had the privilege to go to a fine art school. So then on top of piano, I started playing the viola, which is a type of violin. It's very
Right.
similar to a violin. When I was in, I don't know, 10 years old, 10, 11. And then that progressed to me being in orchestra, chamber orchestra, symphonic orchestra. And then I joined a bunch of choirs. And because I was in fine art school, I just thought that everybody could sing. I just thought that was the norm. Like people
Right,
sing and
right.
that's okay. Because both my parents, they sing well. So I
Wow.
was like, oh, okay, like this is just the norm.
Mhm.
Very, like fine art school was very, like a big bubble for me. So it was not until grade 5, grade 6 where I sang Unfaithful by Rihanna. Y'all remember that song?
In grade
Ooh.
Such a
five?
hit. And I sang that to some of my friends and they were like, you sound like Rihanna. Like you can hit
Oh,
the notes. And I was like, but can't you? Like, isn't this just the
Ah.
norm? And then and then they were like, nah, not really. And then in my like I was like, going to high school, I met other friends that were not in like submersive art program, and then I realized that music, it's not given to everybody, it's a
Right.
privilege. And then from in high school I started writing my own songs, and I didn't perform them until I was maybe 16.
hmm,
16 was the first time I sang in a public. It was a
okay.
talent show, and I sang at Last by Etta James. And
Ooh,
That's
and
a hard, yeah,
that's
that's a hard hitting
dope.
one. Dang. Okay.
yeah, and that's when I was like, okay, I can actually do this. So it gave me a bit more courage to like write my own songs and to perform. And I mean, going to college and everything, I wanted to pursue music, and my parents said, you know what, like that's all you know. That's you've studied that your whole life. You're in choirs and orchestras. You play different instruments. I picked up guitar somewhere along the way as well, and so I listened to them. You know, like from coming from immigrant parents as well, they want to make sure that I have a job in life, and they don't want to worry about me. And I understood that, so I said, okay, so I studied something completely different. I did economics and political science in university.
Wow.
What a switch
Yeah.
up. Okay.
Yeah, and now I work. I mean, and then in my professional career, I did a bunch of things. A lot of them being with data or marketing. And this past year, I was lucky enough to be approached by Lander, the company I work for, and then I ended up in the music industry, professionally working in marketing. And also in this past year, I got the courage to really release my music, because before I wrote everything's, I felt it was very personal to me, and I was shy. What if people don't like it? What ifs, right?
Mhm.
I released it, my first single. It's on Spotify.
That's
And
Hey.
I'm working on more music now. But like I mentioned at the beginning, as a one-woman show, it takes a
It's
lot of
hard.
time.
Yeah. No, for sure. I remember when me and Dom were trying to get into music, um, he was lucky enough to just be the vocals. I had to be the one editing everything, making sure the timing. And I remember there were times where like I'm sitting as he's recording, and I'm like, wait,
Making
cut
sure
that.
the auto tune is on
Yeah, I was like, yo, cut that.
100%.
You're kind of off.
And
You're kind of off, and like you sit there for hours. And so like when it comes to like producing music, I kind of understand that. We're just like it's tough because like if you're
So
doing
much
it by yourself, like
Yep.
it takes time.
It
And
takes
then you're saying too, like, what if they don't like it? And then all that effort is kind of like but
Yeah.
like since we're kind of talking about it, like I want to ask you then, like, because you were able to release your music, right? Your first single that you said, which is what is it called, so that people can know?
It's called Don't Come Back.
don't come back.
Don't Come Back. And I actually
Don't
got to hear
come
it
back.
a couple days ago for the first time, and it's
Mhm.
really dope. But yeah, so going back to the question I was going to ask is like, what made you decide to kind of shut out that negative thought that, oh, what if they don't like it, and just do what you want to do?
Absolutely. I mean, with COVID happening in the past year, it made me realize how short life is, and also I've come to terms with the fact that I can't please everybody. You're not going to, not in real life with your own person, so not with your art as well. And a lot of my songs talk about love, so a lot of them are sad songs, like heartbreak songs, and I talk about my experiences with love and in my relationship. And I think it's an angle that a lot of people can relate to, just because everybody has had a broken heart. And I said, you know what? This music is for me. I'm not expecting to be the next like Ariana Grande or anything. Would be cool, but I'm not expecting that. So I'm doing it for me, and those who want to be part of my journey and enjoy the music with me can just come along.
That's
Yeah,
dope.
it's crazy how things happen for you, because I knew actually. Can we can say names of brands, right? Yeah, we can say that. We can say that.
Sure.
So,
I'll just edit it out.
so we were working for this shoe company. Actually, Jill was the first one to be working there, and she got me in. And we worked for a couple of years, I guess, like 2 years or something like that. Because I remember you quit before I did, and then now working. I knew you were working for this eye surgery, kind of like LASIK type thing, right? And then now, did you really search for that to land that job where you work in the music industry now, or it just so happened?
It just so happened. So in my previous role, I was unhappy there after a certain time, and I was desperately trying to get into like this one gaming company that I won't name.
Okay.
And it didn't work. And I applied 3-4 times, like different roles, and I was getting really frustrated. And then this music and this company, which is also Montreal based, it's international. We work with, it's a very big it's a small company, but it's international scale. They approached me not knowing that I was a musician, and it just like it's a weird thing where I don't like the stars just really aligned for me. I don't like saying that because it's very cheesy, but it happened so that all my previous experience plus my music background really helps me do my job better. And then in
Of
exchange,
course.
I get to talk with I mean, one of our heads of one of the executives at my job, he's Oscar nominated. He has won Grammy.
Ooh,
Like
wow.
worked on really big, yeah. So it's really really cool, and I get inspiration and tips and tricks from just recording or just producing or anything. So I'm very very grateful, and
Dang.
I'm very happy. Yeah.
See how that happens? Oh
That's
man,
what's up. I
that
feel like,
is cool.
yeah, no, I feel like you going into something that you weren't really passionate about, but you knew that you needed to do, and just kind of grinding it out, and it led to an opportunity, and you just grabbed it. I think that's super dope because I feel like sometimes we kind of get stuck in this mentality where like, oh, if it doesn't fit my passions, I'm not going to go for it. But
Yeah.
you
Right,
never know, right? Like you never know that, like, oh, what if it does connect? You know,
Yeah.
right.
like an example I can think of for my own self, because I can only speak for myself, is like when I was younger with Dom, me and him used to make music, and I would make our music videos and stuff like that. And like that was kind of stupid because it was only for YouTube. It wasn't really for anything else. I wasn't trying to make it big and
Hmm.
whatnot. And I kind of let go of that dream because I was like, oh, it doesn't align with what I'm currently doing now. Right. But then fast
Right.
forward a few years later, where people, all of a sudden have to go online, and it's just like, making content online. It's like, oh, I've done that before. Wow, now I can connect my current occupation with my current passion, and like it just works, right? And so like you never know when the moment hits. You just got to do what you got to do, and do it well, pretty much, right? So
Yeah,
that's super cool.
absolutely.
I
And
mean, the
also,
great.
oh, go ahead, Dom.
I was just gonna compliment you on the work that you're doing because, like you said, oh, my mom wanted me to learn piano, and then just I just picked up the guitar and learned guitar. It's you were born to do music, and I believe that for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people may not make it as big as the stars and whatnot, but you were born with this talent, and when you put in the work for that, like we were saying, if you want to have the longevity in this industry, you got to work for it even though you have the talent, because a lot of people just bank on talent. I've done that in the past for so long, and not knowing that hard work is actually the
Like
key
it's
to
necessary. Yeah.
success. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. And like to speak to the growth theme of your podcast, I mean, I'm 26 years old, and I one thing that I've learned through the past. So I've been working in the corporate, like in corporate, for the past 5 years, almost 6 years
Mhm.
now. I started when I was 21, while I was still in school. I was really young. And one thing that I've learned is that every experience, even if you don't see it really fitting your end goal, everything will teach you something. I
Something.
have been in roles where I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing here. I shouldn't
Yeah.
be here. I want to quit. And I had to grind. Like when I was 21, I was finishing my degree at McGill full time, economics and
Wow.
political science, while working in the head office for an international fashion company. It was hard. Like to be honest, for the last year and a half of my bachelor's degree, I would sleep maybe 4 to 6 hours. I was traveling
Wow.
a lot. I was on the grind. And the one thing that kept me going was I cannot fail, which is
Hmm.
not always the most healthy, but I didn't know where it was going to lead me. I didn't
Right.
know. I just knew that I just needed to put in my best work, even if that's not my passion. And
Right.
then every little step of the way, every time, and I've been grinding for almost 6 years now. And people sometimes look at me and say, wow, that's like, you're so lucky, you're so fortunate. Yes, but also I've really put in the time. Like,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you put in the work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. Sometimes you don't know where it leads you. Sometimes it's totally unrelated to your end goal, but take something away from it. The glass is also half full. It's not always half
Yeah,
empty. So
Yeah.
that's what's up. Because like
Hard
honestly,
work makes the dream work.
right. And I was gonna say too, like, we look at these stars and we only see the end results. We never see what they've been grinding out and stuff like that. And like, actually, I was watching a random documentary on YouTube about the late Chadwick Boseman, And like, he's world renowned now. Like he did Black Panther and all these like iconic Black figures, but like they never really talk about his past and like the struggles to get to where he was. At one point he did Broadway and no one knows that because like, all we see is the results. And so sometimes like, the real test of endurance is the process. And like, what Dom was saying too, it's like when you're passionate about something, you need to go all in. And it doesn't mean that it just happens by chance, like you were saying, but you mentioned earlier, and I kind of want to touch on this a little bit, but you mentioned that, you're going into this work ethic of like, I got to do what I need to, and you're afraid to make mistakes. But what is one big mistake that you've done in your life? And what have you learned from that?
Like work-wise or just in my life?
Work-wise, life, passion, whatever you think.
Everything.
Yeah. Like what is
That
one
helped
big,
you.
like step back that made you realize something new?
Dang. That's a hard question. I guess it's not necessarily a regret or a mistake, but I think I wish I believed in myself earlier. Yeah, like I grew up an only child, and my parents, because they immigrated to Canada, I always had a lot of pressure to like perform and to do well. So I relied a lot on them, and I always had that voice in me that wanted to do what I wanted to do, but it was hard for me to follow that voice. Even when I was in my early 20s, I still did what I thought I needed to do, what people were telling me to do, what people were guiding me to do. It was not until the past, I don't know, couple of years when I started therapy. I highly recommend therapy to everyone.
That's
where I unpacked a lot of those, like all of my insecurities and like all the trauma as a child, a teenager. And that's when I understood how to trust and love myself and to believe in what I was capable of doing. Because often for me, I performed well just by having to do something, just to have to like check off that, like to cross it off the list. And I wonder, like, if I were to believe in myself, how far could I actually get if I just believed? So yeah, I think I wish I believed in myself sooner, but better late than never, I guess.
Contrary to popular belief, a lot of people that are really, really talented don't get they don't get to have that opportunity for a lot of different places in the world. And talking about you believing in yourself, and actually have been there too in terms of am I really for this? Do I really want to do this? And one of the greatest advice that one of my good friends told me was, hey, if you want this, man, you got to be obsessed about this. If you want your things to happen, dreams to come true and whatnot, you got to be obsessed about this. And talking about that, I know JP has been through a lot of different things too, but in everyday life, what gives you the drive? Because I know that now that you believe in yourself, what gives you that inspiration? What inspires you, or who inspires you to achieve those goals?
So two things. One, my why, it's my parents, my family. So just to see how
I love that.
they work and how they sacrifice so much to give me all the opportunities, to make sure that I spoke all the languages that I speak, to give me, and like going to art school is not cheap. Like to the maintenance for instruments, the lessons, lessons, everything I wanted to do as a kid, like all the auditions or contests or whatever, they made sure that I was able to take that opportunity. Very grateful for that. And now I just want to live a very comfortable life financially, and also be happy to pay tribute that their hard work for these past 20 something years was not vain. And I want them to be confident and reassured that I'll be fine one day when they pass, in a very long time. And the second thing is BTS. So the K-pop group, I am
switch up. That's switch up.
I know.
Wow. Like, my parents were my inspiration, then BTS.
Yes. And the reason for that being is because when they started, so for those who don't know who they are, it's a K-pop band. It's one of the biggest acts in the world right now. When they started, nobody believed in them, and they looked, they looked funny. They were trying to. It was the first group that was very hip hop, rap oriented. In the K-pop industry, and they have been on the grind for 8 years. They have broken down barrier after barrier, and they sing in Korean, and like they've sold out stadiums, the Wembley Stadium, twice.
Mm.
They
Mm.
Saudi Arabia, and like the fans would sing in Korean. And to watch
Damn.
documentaries, and they produce their own music. They practice like sometimes up to 12 hours a day for their choreographies, just to see how they grind and how much they care about their craft. Like even their lyrics, a lot of it is inspired by philosophy, psychology books. It's not just plain pop
Yeah.
lyrics. There's a lot of effort that goes into their craft. And to me, to see how they push against all the haters, against all the doubts, they still push forward and try to grow as musicians and as people. I find it super inspiring to see them, like, because they, they're also people, to see, for them to share about their depression, anxiety, their struggles. And they also started when they were teenagers, like 18, 19-ish, growing into their 20s and following the stories. Yeah, I find them incredibly inspiring as artists, and they inspire me. Them and my parents are the two things that keep me pushing.
Shout out to Tito and Tita, Brian, Timothy, and Sean, BTS, ladies and gentlemen. You inspired Jill today, and the group, Brian, Timothy, and Sean, BTS.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna put a cricket. But
Yes, I'm gonna make sure when I what? Anyways, going back to what you're saying,
Tito and Tita, man.
Going back to what you're saying, Joe. Like, I'm guessing then a lot of your music derives from those inspirations, right?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I grew up listening to a lot of like love songs. So, Toni Braxton, Mariah Carey.
Yes. Okay, the classics.
Yeah, so a lot of my music, I jokingly like to say, like, heartbreak, but make it music.
Okay.
I love BTS, but my genre is very different from them. I'm more on the like R&B, alternative R&B side, and they just inspire me to keep believing in myself and love myself, and to keep persevering through my journey wherever it leads me. But yeah, those are mainly my music inspiration. I listen to a bunch, but a good love power ballad, that's my jam.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're going through your writing process, like, walk us through your writing process of making music. Like, how does it start to end, pretty much?
Does it start with a lot of people start with lyrics first and then the music, or do you do music first and then lyrics?
It depends on my mood. I think I do both at the same time. So for how it started for me, songwriting was a form of expression. When I started, as a teenager, I was just, when you're all up in your feelings, you're so sad, or you're so angry, or so of something, I would write things out. Or I would just sit at my piano and do a very basic blues progression chord, or like a basic pop progression chord, and try to place my feelings on those 8 bars. I would just say, okay, I know that this is 8 bars. I need to place feelings. And so I would just try, and usually they would come at the same time. And it's still a process I do now. Like, I'll be tired from my day or whatever. I'll sit at the piano. I'll just pick a few chords. And then I just let myself feel. I allow myself to be vulnerable and to like check in with myself. And through that, sometimes I realize what I feel. Like, sometimes I'll write a song and I'll be like, oh, I'm still upset at that friend, or I'm still mad about this, or, so yeah, it's rare that sometimes recently I've started doing more listening to a track that other people have produced, and then imagining like a scenario or a story, and then placing lyrics over that. But for my own personal compositions, I do both at the same time.
That helps a lot, man. But so you're talking about writing songs, plural.
Yeah.
How many songs have you written? Because I've only heard the one that you recorded. I mean, I've heard you on IG.
Yeah, on her
if you
stories.
Haven't been following her IG is gonna be on the description. And sometimes she makes stories of her singing her own songs. She would say that it's an original. How many songs in total, if you know, how many have you written?
Honestly, maybe 50, 60 songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when's the album dropping?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very picky with them. One of my issues is I start a lot of songs and I don't finish them.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It happens often. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So completed songs, I maybe have I want to say 25. So maybe half.
That's still a lot. That's
Yeah.
still a lot. And these are songs with music
Yeah.
already.
It just need to be recorded.
Wow. See what I'm saying? When we were, I remember JP
I
and
feel
I
like
were.
there's something
He
happening
oh
here. Okay.
the great thing about it is that we would do a cover per se, and I would just sing, the hook and whatnot. I remember we did "Lord is Flower Bomb" by Miguel
Oh my
and Wale. It's a
gosh, yes.
classic song, yo. But actually, when JB does is he does his own lyrics,
Yeah.
except
That's good.
instead of rapping the lyrics. Um, so that's the process. So
Yeah, but
I've
don't ask me
written
where
what
that is now because I don't know
I
where.
actually want to know where it is.
Bro, honestly,
Uh,
okay, so the story behind that is that before I got a reliable computer, I had a laptop where I did all my stuff on. Even like video projects that, we'll get into a little bit, but all of that was on my computer and I didn't have a hard drive. And so when my computer crashed, everything was gone from like
right.
samples to like potential songs. And like I had one good song with Dom where like his vocals usually, okay, not to put Dom down, but like there are times when Dom is singing because he's feeling it, he doesn't realize that he's kind of
I
off.
have improved, brother. I have.
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I'm not saying that you didn't. I'm just saying that there were times where like, oh man, like let's do this over and over. And like I remember we'd spend like
Yeah.
hours in
Yeah.
Yeah.
this room recording the same line, really. But there was this one song, and it was by Usher. What's it go? How's it go again?
There goes my
Yes, that song. And yo,
baby. Yeah.
I had laid down my lines and everything, my bars, and then computer crashed and it was gone.
Oh
Everything. And at
no.
this point, I kind of was just like, I'm done with making music because like if it's not gonna if it's not gonna work for me, then it's not gonna work for me. But yeah, that's so dope that you have that still. And like, yeah, it's really cool.
Thank you.
We've
That
got
is
we've
heartbreaking. I'm so
No.
sorry
and
for that
you
computer.
should. You know what? You know what? Is it heartbreaking, Jill? You should write about it.
Wait, why would you write about my own experience? It doesn't make sense. Why would you write about my experience? I should
It's
write.
still
I should write again.
heartbreak. It's
That's what it is. Um, but speaking of heartbreaks of making videos and stuff, we actually made a really. It was a cool concept. Honestly, it was a cool concept.
Oh, are you
Video.
talking about the
Yeah, you wanna share that part of it?
the cool little okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Go ahead. Go ahead.
ladies and gentlemen, all the three people that you see on the screen are not just inclined to music or whatever. We do dabble on film too.
We try. We try.
So JP came up to me and I think he didn't know anybody who would be down to act or whatnot. I don't know why you chose me.
No, no. So I came to you because I knew people who'd be down, but I would just feel awkward if I was asking my friends to be in all of my videos. So I was like, yo,
Right.
Dom, you know more people than I do. I want you to introduce me to some people to be in that video so that it's not just like the same three people, you know?
Right. Right. Well, this was back when I didn't know a lot of people who act or want to act or can act. And the plot was really really dope. It's about this. If you've been in the friend zone, it's pretty much that. So he battles through a lot of he meets this girl, and he love at first sight, be like, oh my goodness gracious, you're an angel from the heavens, and then you
With that
came down
accent.
and you're I don't know why what with the Filipino accent. And then he was like, yo, do you know anybody who would be down to be the leading lady of this short? And I go, yeah, I know a person. The thing is that I didn't tell you who it was, and
Yeah,
at
I didn't
this
know.
time we already know each other.
Yeah.
And how did you know about it again? And then, of course, I picked Jill because I knew that she would be the perfect. She had that vibe where she can be really sweet, but she could be really, bitchy in the same time. And I
Jeez.
love it.
Okay.
I love that combination.
All right.
It's all good.
And how,
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun time with all the makeup and everything. It was really dope.
who gave you makeup? Who put makeup on you? Did you do
No,
it?
she didn't have makeup. You had makeup.
You had makeup. Yeah,
The
Oh,
fake blood.
right.
yeah,
My
fake
bad.
blood.
I'm talking
Yo,
about like mascara,
no,
lipstick,
no.
and
Dom had so for those of you who don't know, Dom had he had to fight a bunch of guys, right? And each
Mm,
person he fought would either rip his shirt or make him look more bloody than he did.
yeah,
And
pretty
the
much
shirt
I'm
that
naked by the end of the
no,
movie.
no, 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 no. Okay, we're not
it's
naked.
not that type of movie.
I remember it was a shirt that I had that I no longer wore.
It's a
So I
Levi
made you
shirt.
wear
I
it. Yeah, it was a
remember.
Levi shirt. And I
Boy,
remember I actually brought a real knife so that we can cut the shirt. And then we also used that as a prop. And then I
mhm.
remember I got fake blood from Dollarama or something like that. And it was just like it was cool. It could have been cool if I was able to finish it.
We still should do it. We still should do it. I'm passing that, by the way, just to let you guys know, Jill. We're gonna have royalties. I'm passing that to Zack Snyder. Next year is gonna be
Yeah, okay.
the Zack Snyder cut
Sure,
up
sure,
thing.
sure. But anyways, going back to our guest here, um, as you get older, you learn things. What is one thing that you wish you had learned earlier so that you wouldn't have to deal with a lot
Mm,
more problems?
Hmm.
generally, not just with music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let go of things faster.
Hmm.
Like don't dwell on things. When I was younger, I held a lot of resentment towards I had the sense of entitlement as well, where, well, I work hard, so I deserve this. The world does not owe you anything. That's one thing. That's a tough lesson to learn, is that no matter how good you are, how talented you are, how good of a person, the world does not owe you and nothing. Like sometimes life will do you dirty, and you need to be able to let go of that, let go of the resentment, focus on what you need to do, and move forward. My therapist introduced me to this concept, which is not a secret. She calls it fuck bucks.
Oh,
Excuse my French.
Sorry, what?
Fuck bucks. So, like, when people say,
one,
I don't,
one more time.
so it's giving a fuck, but you have a budget of fucks to give.
Oh, box. I
Oh,
thought you had that Filipino accent saying
No.
box.
Fuck
But
bucks.
I
oh,
was like, she's not Filipino. She can't have
Yeah.
that
okay. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. So then
Box. Okay.
you would
Money.
encounter a situation that would frustrate you, and then you have to think to yourself, do I actually want to give a fuck?
Oh, do I spend a buck?
Exactly. So you have a finite amount of energy per day in your life, and
Oh.
would you rather be mad and angry at this, or would you
Mm.
keep that fuck budget for something else?
That's a great thing. That's a great advice for everybody who's listening too, because as human beings, we're very emotional, and sometimes logic just flies through our head, and
Yeah.
instead of being logical, we have to have that balance to be like,
Yeah.
hey, do I do the right thing for this one, or do I be so emotional? Like,
Isn't
for
that
example,
logic though?
cut it. Huh?
That's what it means to be logical, is to take a step back and think about before you.
Yeah. No, but most of the time, we're very emotional.
Yeah.
Just driving, somebody cuts you off.
Yeah.
What does it do when you try to speed up? Hey, like you cut me off, blah blah blah, and then it escalates to something else than just letting it go, like what you said. Would you spend a buck on that moment or not?
Yeah, ruin your day too. Like, and it's not to say that you can't be emotional or feel things, because you should, but then do you want to let it dwell, and then it really poisons your life. Like I know for me it was a lot of friendships, or like people that would do me wrong, and I would be so stuck in that mindset of like, how dare they, like I was such a good friend, or I was such a good girlfriend, like how dare they. And that sentiment, the more you dwell on it, it just poisons you. It doesn't hurt anybody else but yourself. So
Dang.
I guess
no, I agree, because like, sorry, no, I totally agree with what you're saying, because like, there's a stereotype that Filipinos are very toxic, and I know you're not Filipino, but like maybe you could relate based on the people you know. And we're very toxic when it comes to like, acting on like our first instinct. Like I know for me, and Dom kind of mentioned it before when we were talking, just us two, was just like, yo, there are times where like, let's say I come home, go back to Montreal, and like I have some random auntie at some random
talking
party,
about that. Okay.
who's like, oh my goodness, you're so fat. I was like, whoa, what? Yeah, and I'm just like, yo, did you take a step back to think about that? And like, obviously, going to your topic about like the F bucks, is that like, would I take the time to just be like, yo, what's your problem? No, 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 no. Or do I take a step back? I'm like, you know what? Like, like maybe she's just going through a rough time, or maybe that's the way that she shows endearment or something. And so like, you really got to take a step back and think about those things and like learn the balance between being confrontational and not really.
Yeah, exactly.
But since we're talking about like, toxicity, I think one thing too, since you mentioned about going to a therapist, is I think like within our communities, we need to go through therapy, allow the idea of mental health to be normalized.
Absolutely.
If it were free, I would probably definitely go because therapists are freaking expensive too. But for a lot of people, well, one of my good friends too goes to therapy, and like you, Jill, you told us that it's you advise for people, especially for people who some people who don't really know themselves yet or going through that process. It's an important journey for them.
Yeah, because therapy in itself is like I get like even in Asian communities. So I'm part Vietnamese, part Chinese, and it's for my parents. It's like, well, you have a roof over your head, food on the table, and you have a job. So like life is okay. Why do you need therapy? Like it's very stigmatized. Like if you
Yeah.
and also if you go to therapy, it's because you're crazy or you're sick, and it's
Yeah,
therapy
exactly.
will give you the tools to be the best version of yourself, to work through your issues, to let go of that anger or that stress, that anxiety. Those were the things I worked on. And it's really beneficial. And also like in terms of, yes, it is expensive, but the investment is the best investment I've like so far the
Yes.
best thing I've done for myself. It's not my Louis Vuitton bag, okay, not to put in a stereotype. And it's
Jeez.
I didn't even know you got a Louis Vuitton bag.
it is the
You
best.
flexing now.
Yeah. I work hard. I gotta flex sometimes, you know.
No, I believe it. Yeah, your best investment is you, honestly.
It's
And
you.
like going back to kind of just our theme of everything in this podcast about chasing our passions. It's like if you really love yourself and you are passionate about what you do, like you need to invest in yourself. Like
Yeah.
whether
Oh
that
man,
means going to school and learning about your craft.
talking
You know,
about
networking, like, Dom, I know you network a lot, and so I'm pretty sure you too, Jill. Like go out and just do what you need to do, get the work done so that you can actually just enjoy the benefits of what you're passionate about, right? um
Absolutely.
and yeah, go ahead,
and
Dom. I know you're
two
gonna say something.
and two for about investing. You know, LeBron James like spends a million,
Oh
like
yeah,
couple of $1 million every year for just his
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 body.
his physical,
Hmm.
Mhm.
his body. And it's not just for basketball. I guess for everybody who's listening right now, whatever you do in life, whatever you do for a living, it's very important, especially if you want to have that family in the future. It's not even for you anymore, for you to take care of the family that you're going to have in the future, and also for your parents. They've taken care of you, now you got to take care of them,
Hmm.
especially us as Asians. We have that in our culture where
Mhm.
instead of leaving them to dropping them off at the
Nursing
what do
home.
you call this, home for the aged
Homes, yeah.
or nursing home, we take care of them. If we have a house, they're going to live with us. Even if you just have an apartment, be like, oh, mom and dad live with me because
Yeah.
I want to take care of you. Exactly.
And also like in terms of growth, like regardless if you're in the music industry or whatever industry, you cannot grow if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable. When you're
Mm.
vulnerable, you speak your truth. When you make mistakes, when you break a few limbs, your teeth, like when you mistakes is what makes you grow, and being able to accept your mistakes, your flaws, that will help you move forward. To always aim for perfection, which is what I used to do, it's draining and it's not sustainable. You will burn out. And it'll help you, like Dom says, in your family, your relationships, your friendships, but it also helps you grow in every sense of the term. I know I feel very preachy with my therapy, but when I started,
No.
the first few months I was like, okay, I know that therapy can help me, but this, what the hell is this? Like I'm unpacking and it sucks because you're dealing with all your emotions that you never looked into. And it sucks at the very beginning because you're trying to Mary Kondo your life and your thoughts. And sometimes
Oh
you
yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah.
unlearn things and to be vulnerable, to like cry it out and to be like, okay, well, suck in this area. Okay, now what do we do about it?
Yeah.
But it helps you grow tremendously.
Was it awkward? Because I mean, personally, I've never been to therapy. I've been to a lot of open forum. What do you call it? Is it open forum
Like
where you
what if
just like open discussions and
like group
remember
therapy?
when you yeah, like a group therapy. I've been to one like something, but was it awkward? Because I mean, you don't know the person that you're going to be spilling out your problems
Mhm.
and your you know how did
Uh,
it work for you?
I mean, I had to shop around, so you're not gonna have a good fit or get along with every therapist. So I shopped around a little bit to find mine, and I don't think it was awkward because when I found the right fit, I was like, okay, I'm comfortable with this person. But sometimes in therapy, they'll ask you questions that forces you to be in a mind space or in a sentiment that you don't
Yeah.
want to be. So it's very uncomfortable at times, where you have to admit to yourself, well, yeah, I screwed up here, or yep, that sentiment I actually have not. It's been like 15 years and I haven't let go of that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
it's
And
hard.
I think too, talking to someone that you don't know gives you an opportunity to be more vulnerable and not pretend like, oh,
Correct.
I got my life together. Like, luckily I have friends that I talk to, or like people who are actually trained in, psychology and like understanding of, the biases of human thinking. Right. And so like, luckily I have that, but to sit down with a person who may not know my backstory and be just vulnerable, I think that is more helpful in anything, because now you're like, I don't have to pretend. I can
Yeah,
just be okay being, which is tough because I believe not everyone's okay being themselves by themselves, if that makes
that's true.
sense,
It's a hard thing to do, and especially with friends too. Like sometimes, and I mean, therapy and that growth helped me see who my real friends were because I got to a point where I'm comfortable just being myself. Like what you see is what you get, and I've always felt the need sometimes to adapt who I was with certain friends or certain groups of friends. And now I don't have the budget. I don't have the F budget for that. So I let those friendships go.
Right.
And it's hard, but it's part of growth to be, I want to be in my adult life with the friends that I know I can rely on. Because the friends, it's the family that you choose. So
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah,
I
shout
agree.
outs
I
to
agree. I agree to that. Shout out to your therapist,
yeah, shout
whoever
outs
your
to
therapist.
the people who's been helping me too. Shout out to my quote unquote therapist, even though I don't pay for it. Um,
We
but
weren't. I remember. Sorry,
no,
I
go ahead.
remember. One day I wasn't a therapist. I'm not a therapist whatsoever. But I remember this one time where it was winter and I was walking from the metro to my house,
Okay.
and I got a call from Jill. Jill is calling. I don't know if you remember this.
I don't.
But this was one of the parts where we spoke for like what 45 minutes to an hour or something like that, and you were like, and she was just venting and venting and venting. I was like, oh my gosh, uh, yeah, I agree. But then what she's going through, I've never gone through something like that, and it's really important, especially for people who really, because if you spill the beans to people that aren't really trustworthy, it's kind of dangerous to you and to everybody else too. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I just love that. I mean, I appreciate it's not just about fun and games and this and that. I thank you for actually calling me for those things. That means that you trusted me.
You're welcome.
No, that's dope. That's dope. And so to everyone listening, please go get help, even if you don't think you need it, because you never know what's like
You
it's
never
been
know.
yeah, it's been hiding. But a lot, and this is crazy, man. Like a lot of things that make us us are usually things that we kind of don't even realize. Like it's within our subconscious. And so like, yeah, for those listening, please, please, for the sake of humanity, please go ahead and help.
Did it help
Um,
you though, Jill? Because you make music and you said that you love making heartbreak music. Did the therapy help you to make better music? You think?
Better music, I don't know. It did give me a different perspective. I used to blame a lot of people, but it was often not on me. But then, like learning about myself and understanding myself helped me shift the perspective that it takes two. Like, yes, I've been in crappy relationships, but then I also stayed in those crappy relationships. So, is it? always, you cannot always blame the other person.
Right.
So different perspective. I wouldn't say better, just different.
So from the lyrics being crying myself to sleep at night, da 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 la la, to I don't know if these tears are worth your, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
like
There
that.
you
I don't.
go. You
Yeah,
got
there
it.
you go.
There you go.
See, yeah, I think so. I think I got it. I can be a therapist
We're
now.
almost at the 1 hour mark here, but one last question I want to ask you, Joe. For everyone that's going through like figuring out their passions and chasing after their goals, what is one piece of advice that either you wish you had learned before or were given to you currently? What can you give to these people who might be listening about like chasing their goals?
Be curious about things, and make friends along the way and maintain those relationships. Sometimes especially I'm going to use corporate as an example. In my line of work, sometimes I would work sometimes with like devs or engineers, IT, people that are like teams that were really outside of my scope of understanding. But to be curious and to understand their challenges and their work, it actually complements like my own work. And to build those relationships over the years, it gives you a broader understanding of projects, of life, of things that you wouldn't necessarily learn if you were just had a tunnel vision on your own work. And networking, like you've touched upon it before, but you never know who you know until you need, and when you need to pull those strings. It's super cheesy, but to know that you have people behind you. Like one of my old directors, and I still talk today, like he was my boss maybe 3-4 years ago actually, and we still talk today. He still sees my growth, and we'll chat every now and then, even if it's just once a quarter, sometimes once a year, to maintain those relationships and to support people in their growth. And when you're genuine about it, people care about you.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, that's
I
dope.
love that. I love
So
that. No, you definitely need some support. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's going to an hour mark now.
yeah,
What can people expect from Jill?
yes.
Is there going to be any music coming soon? Because
Yeah.
man, I heard you haven't heard the one that she put on her story, but that one is slapping.
Fire.
Okay, fire. So
It's
where can
busting,
they
busting.
find you? Where can they find you, and what can we expect in the future
Yes.
for you?
So more music. I'm working on it. I'm actually recording some right now, but like I mentioned, it's a bit of a long process. But you could definitely follow me on my Instagram pages. Play Your Music Jill. It's going to be linked in the description bar below, so you can catch me there, and you can follow me and listen to all my originals or sometimes my covers. But yeah, I have music in the works.
That's
Very
Is it
what's
excited.
is it an EP coming out or just a single?
Both.
Oh, I'm excited. Oh my
Yeah.
okay.
gosh. I'm so proud. You don't understand how proud I am, especially when my friends are winning. Winning, winning.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who knows? Me and Dom might come out of the woodworks too.
Yeah, we used to like. I know we're
You
running
don't
out of
know.
time, but we used to be in this little room in college, and we would rap.
Oh my
We would
gosh.
try to rap. Like Dom got me to rap at some point.
Oh, I
So
remember that.
so yes, you do rap. You
A little bit, a little bit.
It's
It's
on our
part of the
Instagram story.
process, and it's like trying things, and it's allowing yourself to be vulnerable to try new things to grow. So,
Yes,
on that note,
man.
I
I'm,
love
I'm
that.
I'm
I love
excited for
that.
what's to come. Oh my
thank you.
goodness. Woo! Let's get it, Jill. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
But anyways, thank you everyone for watching this podcast. If you're listening to us on Apple Music or Spotify, thank you as well. Like always, you can follow us on Instagram at Kwentossentials, and you can follow us on our individual Instagrams. My Instagram is JUSTCRZING, or Just Cruising for short, or actually the real spelling is Just Cruising. Dom, where can they find you, bro?
They can find me on IG, Instagram. It's Domzone, D0MZONE. And also, you can find me as well on the Quintessential podcast on IG as well. And you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, we might have Jill back again because it's just so much fun to have a conversation, learning
Yes.
so much about life and music and this and that and the third. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. See you on the next Quintessential podcast episode.
Peace. Yo, what's good, everyone? Thank you for listening to that episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you were able to hear just our perspectives of like who we are and whatnot. But super cool. Next episode is going to be a special one. It is a episode that I'm doing with one of my good friends that, man, I haven't seen or talked to or even been in the same room in for like over 10 years now. We graduated high school, but I've known him since kindergarten, and he's a flight attendant now. And so next episode next week is going to be super fun, and hopefully you guys are able to enjoy just this moment of catching up and talking about life. But with that being said, thank you for listening to the Kwentossentials podcast. Peace.